What was that?
I don't know, but that sounded like
some serious business.
Right, hold on. That's on me. That's on me. Hold on. Boom. Sorry about that, y'all. What's up? It's us, Melanated Council of Yang. We got special guest, Boys, aka Mindful Skeptics, is in the house. That man right there. Yes.
I need some melanin.
The sun. We got the sun for that, brother.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. Not yet, man. Not yet.
Hey. We got Liz in there.
Oh.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are getting ready to discuss some we live. We are live right now. We are live in full effect. And we're going to be talking about the New York City mayoral race. We got somebody coming on shortly who's going to pretty much help us navigate this weird, intricate process that New York City's got going on. Also, too, which makes this race a little bit more interesting, is they're going to be implementing ranked choice voting for this race. And so that's a cool thing that's coming along. But at the same time, hey, Tony.
Hey.
What's going on? And so we got this whole dynamic going on in New York City, and we're just going to talk about it, and we're just going to have this conversation because it's one of those things that's needed. You know, somebody from the Twitter page asked us, like, you know, hey, are you guys going to talk about the New York City mayoral race? We're like, you know what? We should. You know, we should talk about it. And even then, you know, me, Elle, Toby, we were talking about, you know, like doing something like that. And so, like, hey, somebody said we should do it. Let's go. I know, Boys, you had somebody from New York on your channel as well.
Yep.
And I'm going to pick your brain because I caught the tail end of it, but I want to pick your brain about that as well because I think what's going on is it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, you know, probably help bridge the gap just a little bit and at least do what we can, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's the whole point at the end of my video was I said, okay, because she's Yang Gang, but Andrew is not in her top 5 right now for the New York mayoral race.
Mm-hmm.
His policy doesn't align with her priorities. So she's a volunteer for Diana Morales. And I commend her for that because Diana Morales is very progressive. She got great policies, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just doesn't have the base. And so I told her, as a Diana Morales volunteer, Yang Gang, what advice you have for Andrew? How could he earn a higher ranked position on your top 5 in your ranked choice voting in New York? And she just busted out 4 reasons. And I made a clip yesterday, and I actually just put that out earlier today, man, about her advice. And I tagged Andrew and his campaign people. Hey, man, I hope you guys are paying attention because this is how you build coalitions by listening to the people.
For sure.
Say that, man.
Say it a little louder for the people in the back.
Hey, there you go. Exactly.
He's really playing up to the fucking business people. He's doing that Bloomberg shit, you know? Because he hired a Bloomberg campaign manager, staff people, not campaign manager, but advisors, I guess I should say. So that person knows how to win in New York, but a certain approach.
Yeah.
Correct.
And Andrew's got a history in there of being an entrepreneur and creating jobs. I get it. But is that what is that what we need at the time? I don't think so. Not that approach. Like,
I agree.
You know, so his policies need to match up with his priorities, not just talking points. So that's kind of my critique right now is he thinks they should open up all the schools and open up bars until 2 a.m. again. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Give me some data on that shit. That don't make any sense. I'm skeptical.
Preach.
Yeah.
That's our Twitch crew coming in and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's super important. That's super important.
That's my thing, man. That's my thing. I'm trying to reach out to other people. I actually reached out to Diane Morales' team about her coming on. I reached out to the cop fucker, whatever his name is. Prick. What's his name?
Talk about Eric Adams.
I reached out to people and said, hey, I'd like to talk to Eric. I just said, hey, I'm trying to talk to all you motherfuckers, you know? So I invited every single one of them that are in the top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the one guy replied, but he already dropped out. The one that supported Yang.
Really?
That's probably why he replied.
Yeah.
The Paperboy Prince?
No. The one that endorsed Andrew that dropped out of the race, a Hispanic guy.
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Is he the... Oh, wow. Wait a second. I didn't know people were really dropping out.
Yeah. I didn't say that. But he's a fucking cop.
Hey, guys, can I talk to the cop fucker?
See, formerly fucked by cops. But he's a cop, man.
I didn't realize that people were really dropping out like that because it's not staggered. So I thought, like, oh, whatever, everyone's going to be on the ballot. It's actually really weird to hear that people have or will be dropping out, especially because the way the campaign finances is you have a limited amount anyway to spend. So it's not like everyone gets infinite money.
There it is.
Okay.
I'm going to have to do more research into that.
Well, the thing is, in New York specifically, you only rank 5.
Yeah.
So if you're not projecting the top 8, you're really wasting time and resources. So he's like, I'm not even 10th.
So that's fair.
Let's start building a coalition. He says, I want to pull Andrew a little farther left on a couple of issues, and we're going to work together. And he's like, hey, that's where we're at. So, people that talk to Andrew for 5 fucking minutes are sold. That's just the way it is. He's the greatest salesman ever. And that's what it's just that simple. So I really hope him and Diane Morales actually talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I agree.
Even though Maya Wiley did an event with him together.
Oh, yeah.
And then took a giant shit on him by calling him a little Trump. I'm like, you trifling motherfucker, you know? That's politics. So it's New York, man. She's old school. She's been there for a minute. You know, she's a lawyer for de Blasio. She's his lawyer.
I didn't know she was a civil rights lawyer. I didn't know she was his lawyer.
She was on his staff. Like, she's a lawyer for his campaign.
I think I might have.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that brings a whole kind of new dynamic to the playing field, if you ask me. If you ask me. And it's funny you brought that up too, because there's a number of articles that I read that said that she had ties to de Blasio, and a lot of people did not like de Blasio at all, and especially when the city itself, crime-wise, is at an all-time low, and he went and said, hey, I want to beef up the police force and whatnot. And they're like, no, don't do it. But even then, part of the article that I read said that he actually contemplated not doing it. It's like, I get it. We're pretty much in a good space right now, and we're trying to keep everything intact, so we're not going to do it. And almost like at the last minute, he went ahead and said, we're going to go ahead and approve the budget and everything else, which is like astronomically high, especially for during a time where, one, most people's on lockdown. Okay. Most people are staying inside.
Yeah.
2, who's going to be crazy enough to do a crime during the pandemic? And I get it. Most people will do some stupid stuff when they're desperate. I get that. But if you think about it, who's really going to do anything to jeopardize that, let alone, we're still in the middle of a pandemic.
There's no pockets to pick. There's no one to mug.
Yes.
Like, what do you got to do? There's no, nobody's out there anyway. Yeah.
And let's see, do you think cutting police budget and military funds are the same thing?
They're not mutually exclusive either.
Yeah, they can both happen.
They absolutely should both happen. That's what the police is all about.
Yes. And again, here's the reason why. And like I said, I've been reading a bunch of articles, especially when it comes to defund the police in New York City. A lot of the citizens, mind you, a lot of the citizens are like, listen, why do we need a militarized police force when our school systems are crummy? Why do we need to have our police officers patrolling the area and not really doing their job? How about, especially when it comes to like mental health issues, stuff like that? Like, how come we don't have somebody from social services to help those people out? Maybe, just maybe, have a police escort just in case if things escalate to a certain level, that they're there to kind of keep the peace. But other than that, we don't want that in our neighborhoods. And then there's some neighborhoods it's like, we like them there because it kind of gives us a sense of peace. The
illusion of security.
And hey, there goes our other special guest. Everybody give us a round of applause for Tyler De La Cruz.
Thanks for having me on, guys. And
There
nice
it
to meet
is.
everyone, and good to see you again, boys.
What's up, brother?
Tyler, what is going on? What's good?
Man, can't complain. We're out here hustling, just making sure that all the voters know, what's going on here in New York. I've been all over the place. I've been in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Manhattan mainly. Door knocking, doing the highest variance thing, to help out the campaign. Just to fight through a lot of misinformation. I guess I'll cut to the chase here. The top 3 answers that I've been getting out the doors, and I think my sample size is pretty large right now, are like at least a couple 1,000 people since signature gathering. But I'm undecided, and I'm looking forward to the debates. But Andrew's in the mix, Yang Gang all the way, and there's a surprisingly shocking amount of people who believe that Andrew is still a tech bro, Silicon Valley billionaire. So, yeah, just got to cut through that nonsense, right? Cut through the noise and just continue pulling up our sleeves, right?
Right. And
so
again,
crazy, like how everyone just sort of had this collective fever dream where they heard Yang.
It's a sweat lodge.
Was from Silicon Valley, was from California.
Guys, you don't understand how many times that happened on the trail. Like in Iowa, I went to was it the handicap? Was it handicap? Iowa's handicap the disability forum in Iowa. When I was there once, I was going around for the whole week, and following them everywhere. And at that place, they introduced, it was Cory Booker, Bernie, and then Andrew. And they introduced Andrew. He says, "So Andrew Yang, you guys might know him from blah blah blah. He's from California. He's a tech entrepreneur." And everybody clapped, and he's like, "All right, thank you. But hey, I'm not from LA. I'm actually from New York, and I'm not a tech bro. I just owned a company that used tech." He goes, "I'm an education guy. I'm an entrepreneur." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He goes, "I know. I look like a Californian, apparently." He just laughs it off every single time, uses humor to deflect how fucked up that you don't even read a single Google search. It's so simple.
I know, right? It's like the easiest of Google searches.
I know. It happened a lot, man. And you're talking like he really got some notoriety there, and then people still are just like, "Yeah, tech bro from California, man." It's unbelievable. Sorry, Tyler, it's hilarious. It's not hilarious.
It's a little. I guess it's positive stereotyping, I guess, but just gotta continue. Just keep putting in the work, right?
Well, feeds into that he's not from New York narrative too.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yep.
Yeah, right. Because that's what it seems like. All the other candidates within the top 5 are circling around him, and they're gonna choose their talking points, right? I think I hopped in the stream, and you guys were mentioning Maya, mentioning that he was Trumpian. Scott Stringer, saying that he's an outsider. Ray McGuire is, trying to pin him as like some guy who doesn't know and understand budgets. And then who am I forgetting? Eric Adams is, UBI lie. And
I should call him Eric. Stop resisting Adams.
Come on.
I'm not a fan.
Eric Adams.
On the bright side, though, are you guys in New York, or is anyone in here in New York?
No.
I'm coming.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I'm from the place where a lot of New Yorkers, own second homes.
Yeah, we're finally getting organized in the Bronx. So very happy about that. We just had a up in Kenny Burgos's district as well as Richie Torres's because they overlapped. And so what has been apparent to me, and I think a couple other people that I've drawn attention to about this, is people who are particularly bilingual that are out of state are going to be like super helpful with our race here. With because we have 56 days. So
yeah,
I can't wait.
Look,
wasn't that the name of Future's mixtape, 56 Nights?
I'll be in 50 days. I'll be there in 50 days.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, and again, Tyler, the reason why we're having you on is because we're not from New York. We don't know what's the policy, the politics is like down in New York. And even though we sent out a little flash, like, hey, listen, if you're in New York or in New York City and you want to come on, just to kind of help us understand what's going on, help us understand the dynamics and whatnot, please share your thoughts, because we're trying to do what we can to help. But at the same time, we don't also want to be the stumbling block for people who may not have, Andrew Yang in their top 5, because again, like we said before, New York City is going to be using ranked choice voting for this mayoral election. Is like, let's kind of help at least have them in the top 5, or at least have them in the conversation. And so, Tyler, buddy, you're gonna have to navigate. You're gonna have to help us navigate the woods and the mean streets and the boroughs, because we don't know. But my man, you're gonna be our travel guide. And so,
all right, let's get to it. So, nobody is organizing in the Bronx. It is wide open. Richie Torres, obviously endorsed Andrew as well as Kenny Burgos. Richie got around 30,000 votes in the Democratic primary, plus Kenny Burgos is 4,000. So if you combine that, that's 34,000, even though they're in the same district. So, roughly, let's just say 50% of those people have Andrew in their top 2. Then that's 15,000 votes easy right there. Nobody's getting organized in the Bronx. The joke is like the Bronx is a forgotten, borough. Staten Island, there's only about 30,000 registered Democrats. And so I've noticed most campaigns are staying away from that because, it's 30,000 registered Democrats on the whole island. You can find that in one neighborhood in Brooklyn. With Brooklyn particularly, it seems to be, that's probably the most contested, in my opinion, borough, where we have Diane Morales is from Bed-Stuy. Eric Adams is the Brooklyn borough president. Andrew Yang, obviously, has a lot of support there as well. Somebody told me on a Clubhouse who was a former public official, and he, it was intrigued to see what Andrew would do with his policies, particularly with the, Black community. He said, don't underestimate the Yang Gang support in these neighborhoods. And so I think people are being particularly quiet and low key about their support in Brooklyn. But I mean, all polls show up, right? We are #1 in every demographic that has come out. Over $150,000 has been spent on internal polling alone from all the candidates, and only Andrew's campaign has come out with their polls.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, I think we can all read in between the tea leaves there.
Yeah, right.
Eric Adams recently opened up his field office in Jamaica, Queens. So he's clearly going after the southeast portion of Queens as well. But that's where the polls suggest that we are polling the highest, right? Because of the highest amount of Asian American population there. Roughly, I think, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but at the same time, right? As nice as it is to be leading in all these demographic polls, how can we trust them? We just got to continue putting in the work. Andrew by far also has the highest name recognition at around 90%, and no other campaign is close. So going to Manhattan, the Upper West Side, I think, that's where Scott Stringer lives. And he, was the favorite, and the polls at least are showing that we have, Andrew's campaign has pulled away a lot of that support from Scott, and they're the ones who are leading the charge of throwing the shade of like, we welcome Andrew Yang to New York City, as if he hasn't been here for the last 26 years. And so that's where I particularly was signature gathering a good amount. I've yet to actually canvass door to door there, but it seems like we have a very sizable base there. That community is particularly politically active, where we don't need to, explain like ranked choice voting and whatnot. Because that is like the unfortunate thing that I've seen like going all over the city is like, coincidentally, if you go to, lower income neighborhoods, they have no clue what the hell is going on with voting. And so obviously like the further north you go, like the less like known they are. And that's why I'm particularly interested in helping out with the Bronx, because it's this wide open contested land. And, Andrew has come out with the People's Bank policy that would help, 12% of New Yorkers get a public bank account. And that situation is like particularly like interesting to me, just because, right, like what happens in between. So like if you go to Midtown Manhattan, there's a bank every 2 blocks. But when you go uptown, like around 125th Harlem and North, it's like one every 10 blocks. But what's in between those 10 blocks of banks? Checking, cashing, and pawn shops. So if you take your hard-earned paycheck and you take it to a check and cashing, they take 6% off the top every single time. Yeah. And obviously, like, some people will be like 6% is a lot, but it compounds. But then where are you going to store your money? And so that's like just raising awareness on those issues as well. So the Upper East Side, that's where I think we've been hitting a lot of events as well, where I think a lot of folks are frankly undecided, but there's a lot of sneaky, quote unquote sneaky support there for Ray McGuire, Catherine Garcia, who I, for what it's worth, personally have as my number 2. There's a video of her.
Catherine?
Where, yes, Kathy G. So when she, so Bill de Blasio cut the budget for the Department of Sanitation. And after that, she was like, in good conscience, I can't, be the head of this department when the budget's getting slashed. And there's a video on YouTube of it where the whole Department of Sanitation gives her a proper send off of, the bagpipes, the drums, the salute, the white gloves, everything. And I think that really goes to show like what kind of leader she is, and what I've heard her speak about, she seems pretty level headed. But then again, it seems like everybody's throwing shade at Andrew, whether it be that he doesn't know how to navigate the budget, right? We saw last night Andrew and Ray McGuire get into it a little bit. Andrew had to repeat himself multiple times about, how we want to take back the MTA, because that's I think, honestly, one of the biggest selling points, just generally speaking, in the city is like, why does Albany have control of New York City's public transit system? On top of it, too, out of the 20 board members or whatever, it's an exorbitant amount, but like out of all those board members, only 2 or 3 of them are recommended for New York City. And so where do their interests lie, and how can we reallocate that budget? And something that, obviously, like, for those that don't know, like me and Boyce actually met out in Davenport, Iowa. And that's how I first got involved with the campaign, just with a computer science background. Andrew really spoke to me about where the 21st century economy was being taken with automation and whatnot. And he's the only one that I've heard speak on cryptocurrency. That's something that I'm pretty big on myself, but I don't want to get too far off topic. Let me continue. So the south point of Manhattan, right, because it's a large island, Gigi Lee is running for the first city council district, which is essentially Chinatown and South. And she's endorsed by Margaret Chin, and Margaret Chin and Gigi have endorsed Andrew. And so there's that coalition being built there. And so, yeah, Hell's Kitchen too, where Andrew, currently resides. That neighborhood seems to be, we're in this point now, right, with 56 days out, where we're just currently doing voter ID, and we're not doing any persuasion voting or, persuasion canvassing. And so, yeah, that's currently the overview state of the race, because I can keep talking and talking and talking about it. But,
That's cool. We got a couple questions just to kind of like break everything up. We got a couple questions that the chat brought up. One is Tony Perez. He asked, and he said it's a little off topic, but do you think the push for UBI could potentially be harmful to discussion around reparations? Many have been comparing it lately, and it just doesn't sit well with me. In my honest opinion, they are both very different. Very different. And that is so true. And so, does anybody want to take a stab at it?
I would love to, just because I've had this discussion about 50 times already with people, but UBI is a proof of concept that this is the easiest way to do it. Give people fucking money, not programs with administration fees all the way down. That shit will trickle down to people, and there will be managers that will manage your money right out of your pocket. UBI is the funding, it's the delivery of the funding mechanism for reparations of the future, as far as I'm concerned. And property. I think land should be part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A limited resource is land.
Agreed. And even then, I know, what was it? Last month, 2 months ago, we had Kiera Whiting on, and she talked about reparations. And the one thing that basically was stood out was that with UBI, it's pretty much guaranteed to anybody. Anybody and everybody can get it. Mm-hmm. As far as reparations goes, it's going to be limited. And then even if we were to get reparations passed, depending upon how it gets rolled out, that's going to be a whole different conversation in itself. Like Boy said, we got to think about, okay, land, is that going to be included or not?
Yeah,
is there any kind of like capital that people can get access to kind of help build that generational wealth? Is that going to be accessible? Or is it going to be like a one-time check thing? Is it going to be reoccurring monthly checks broken down in smaller dollar amounts? Like, there's a whole bunch of ins and outs when it comes to reparations that have yet still to be ironed out. But again, to Boyce's point, you give people money, that's really what they want. They just want some money. Like, if I had like an extra $500, I could pay this bill off and I not have to worry about anything else until the next time I get paid. Or even if I had like an extra $150, that could be used towards A, B, C, and D, and whatever else could be used for anything else.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I agree. I think if we get rid of the stigma, right, and just give it to everybody, it requires a lot less bureaucracy, and then it's less judgmental, I think.
Well, if you look at the economics, man, today's money for 40 acres and a mule is in the tens of trillions of dollars. The crime has been committed. I mean, it's like, it will never be right. That's the facts. Like, they will never make it right because they took away generational wealth. Juneteenth. You think of the massacre of the Black Wall Street, if you will, in what's that, Tulsa?
Yeah, Tulsa.
Tulsa, yeah. Tulsa and all those types of things. They destroyed an economic hub. Oh, wait a minute. You guys can't do that. Burn this bitch down, He looked at a white girl. Kill him. And it's that simple. So to me, there's no way to truly make it right. So I don't think a one-time payment is a slap in the fucking face, as far as I'm concerned. It needs to be reoccurring, systemic resources. And I think land is the most important one. I think also a banking infrastructure is another one, personally.
Oh my gosh. Guess what? We got another special guest. Help me come. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Jermaine Johnson.
Yes.
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Doc?
Come on, Doc.
Oh man, just hanging out. Just hanging out, y'all. How y'all doing this evening?
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Man, it's good to see you.
It's good to see y'all, man. It's good to see y'all. I love just popping up every now and then. I don't know.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I'm like, man, uh-oh. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. You are good. You are good. So we're talking about this NYC mayoral race and whatnot. And I mean, Dr. Johnson, you gonna help us out with this this conversation? And oh man.
Yeah, what's the questions? What's the questions we got going on? Small potatoes, what's going on? Vaughn, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people. We got Tony in here. Tony Perez. We got Ender Buckley.
What's going on, Tony?
And then where's Meech at? Meech, where you at, homie? Where are you?
And Elizabeth just jumped in too.
And Elizabeth, yeah,
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
What's going on, y'all?
My Michigan people.
Hey.
Michigan folks.
Yeah, got Zach in here. We got
Yeah.
Liz. There she goes. Got Liz. We got come on, Meech. Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
people here, so this is cool.
Yeah.
For like,
Wait, is this the cool table now?
We got a round table.
Virtually. It's
Yeah.
virtual. But yeah, but no, we were. I'm sorry. Who's talking?
We're talking about reparations.
Asked, Dr. Johnson if he's still in New York, or are you back in Carolina?
I'm back in Carolina now. I flew out on Friday to New York, and I did some stuff Friday night. Campaigned with Andrew on all day Saturday. Met up with Zach and Carly that evening, talked to them, and then flew out early Sunday morning back here to Carolina.
Wow.
Nice.
Grinding.
It was a lot, man. It was a lot, man. I got to do it for our guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
thanks for coming out.
Yes. We were talking about reparations and whatnot. And
Comparing it to and like how people sometimes
UBI.
compare it to UBI and when it's
not the same.
really, yeah, it's not the same.
It's ridiculous. Reparations is something that's been pushed for a long time since slavery was abolished. So it's something that you can't compare to UBI. UBI is completely different to help all peoples to lift the floor. And that's what it is, to give people a hand up, not a handout. So I'm tired of people trying to say, "Oh, I'm not supporting it because it's not reparations." It's not supposed to be reparations. You don't know how many people I had to fight against get them to understand that. They had a problem because Andrew is Asian. They're thinking that, oh, look at this Asian guy trying to hand something to the black. I'm like, no, listen, I'm a black man. I know exactly what's going on. This is something completely different than reparations. And I agree with reparations, and even Andrew agreed with reparations. We had plenty of conversations about reparations. So, these are two different things.
Clearly. Clearly.
That's on that.
yes. And before we go on, Tony, did we answer your question before we move on? Because I don't want to be rude. If we haven't answered your question, I still want to give you that respect. You good? Cool.
Thumbs up. Yep.
Cool. And again, with the talk with reparations, it's still going to be ongoing. Still going to be ongoing.
Ender's comment makes the most sense on this to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Slam the gavel.
Yeah. Drop the mic.
Alrighty. Let's see, Vaughn, because Vaughn had a question too as well, and so this is pretty much going to be going towards Tyler and Dr. Johnson. Is there any Yang Gang folks not voting for Andrew Yang that you guys know of, and especially during those times where you guys were canvassing? Were there any people that were Yang Gang that's not voting for Andrew Yang? And if that's the case, like, what's up? I know, boys, you could talk to this too as well. And again, just trying to get a feel of what's going on and get an understanding of the dynamics in New York City.
Tyler, you can take that, but I didn't see.
It's going to be
everybody I saw was like, yes, we're voting for Yang. Everybody I talked to, I did individual campaigning that Friday night, was talking to people. They were like, yeah, we're rocking with Yang. So,
yeah, because for what it's worth, it seems like we're the only campaign that's running a positivity. Hope is on the way, like painting a brighter future. Everybody else seems to be doing the whole like why Andrew Yang sucks campaigns. Like Mr. Stringer came out with his first round of ads today And I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but
The Burlington Coat Factory one.
yeah, exactly. Just throwing shade, not going to be governed by Twitter or TikTok. Like, what does that even mean? So, I've noticed though, like generally speaking with the Yang Gang, I've yet to meet rather somebody who like was Yang Gang in the presidential who doesn't support him here. But from the folks that I've talked to that have volunteered, like it seems to like fork with our number twos into either Diane Morales or Catherine Garcia. Of course, like Paperboy Prince. How can I forget?
Progressives.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've only had the one person, Vivica. She was on last night on my live stream, and I had her on because she is a Diana Morales volunteer. She's Yang Gang, but not like 2020. She's like recent Yang Gang. She just likes his idea of UBI. She likes he's a progressive, but she has like her personal, like I had her give it literal advice as a Diana Morales. What could he do to earn a way up in your rank, to rank on your list and stuff like that? And her biggest pushback is some misinformation, status stuff, but nonetheless, she said that he doesn't want to defund the police. I'm like, well, technically, if you go watch his interview with Charlemagne, he definitely says I would take $1 billion from the police budget to go to the community. That is defund the police. It's not just a slogan; it's an actual idea. But that's one of her biggest pushbacks. Then she says something about stop trying to leave grandma's food carts alone or some shit like that. I'm like, oh come on.
Yeah. I remember that one. I remember that one.
Yeah. Leave the churro guy alone. This and that. I'm like, all right.
A lot of quotes taking out of context for
exactly.
For sure.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's just Yang adjacent, not legit. Like got a math hat Yang Gang.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference.
Gotcha.
It's like in between Yang Curious and Yang Gang.
Well, yeah, there's Twitter Yang Gang. There's actually people that did shit.
Who, by the way, most of them are not on social media. What I've
exactly.
It's interesting.
Interesting phenomena. Though a lot of the volunteers here in New York don't have social media like Twitter like that.
They're
but
smart.
Also, like they didn't support him in the presidential. The most common thing I got was, like I was looking into Andrew Yang, and I don't know, like was he like supposed to be like at first? This was like their impression of, is he a meme candidate? Is he here to split the vote? What's his like agenda here? And then they did their research and they're like, wow, like, he really is more thoughtful and he's not a one trick pony. Cause that's the third thing I got. Like he only knows UBI. So yeah, a lot of our volunteers were not involved in the presidential, and that's very, very promising.
Yeah, I think that's interesting where it's not just like, a bunch of people who supported the big 2020 UBI getting into this race and they have no idea. Like, no, I'm glad to hear that these are people who are really tried and true New Yorkers from the community. It actually kind of gives more credit that they really picked up on him as he kind of grew, not just as this internet celebrity from the presidential race, but they actually tapped into something that rang to the New York City community. So that's pretty encouraging to hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
all right. Go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like with New York City being so large, right? Like it's not a one size fit all policy, and I think that's where people get a little, frustrated with Andrew, right? With the whole like he wants to increase the funding for the police. That quote obviously got taken away out of context when he said that the anti-Asian task force shouldn't be a volunteer position within the NYPD, and right, like we're seeing like thank God, like over on East 125th that Yao Pen Ma got that guy that got stomped, and he's currently in critical condition. They found the perpetrator, but I think Ron, you mentioned this earlier. Like, although the crime is going down in New York City, the crime per capita is actually going up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've been attending a lot of these AAPI rallies, and there's been a lot of coalition building and support from not only just the Asian American community, but mainly the Black community as well, and just very frustrated with how everything's going down in the city here. Taking on the elders, and a lot of my parents or people my mom's age are not comfortable leaving the house by themselves anymore, and we need to do better by them, and I think having a funded task force would drastically help. But that's the particular quote that's getting, taken out of context as to Andrew wants to increase the police funding.
And the subway. He said
Yeah.
there should be more police on the subway because that's where the crimes are being committed. And they're like, oh, wait, he wants to put more police on the subway? Well, it's better than him standing on the fucking corner shooting shit with everybody. They should be down there actually doing shit.
And there's some stuff about the subway. This is a really good topic because there were some years ago, probably 2019, where I guess there was like a kid, a teenager, who had jumped the subway. And there was a viral video where he was basically on the subway, hands up, and then like a bunch of police come in with like really big guns. And they're like, put him on the ground and all this stuff. And people are outraged, like, what did this kid do? Did he jump the fare? He clearly had his hands up. He was unarmed. And so there was like mass protests in the MTA where people just started jumping the fares in solidarity, like swarms. And I'm just like, holy crap. And this is like, at the time, I wasn't thinking about the next mayor, but I really thought that I knew Bill de Blasio was mayor, but I was like, this is a lot to manage, that there are basically people who are putting more police to stop the fare evasion. But then, of course, there is like, okay, well, now you're going to have more civil rights abuses possibly. And these are like the lowest of the low in terms of low income and working class people. Is it really worth trying to spend a certain amount of money to catch people evading fares to get some money back?
Yeah, you're spending more than you'll save.
Sorry, say that again.
They're just spending more on police forces than the money they'll actually save on a turnstile.
Yeah, that's what people were showing, was that you're going to lose money spending that much on the police anyway. And so it kind of becomes, is this worth it? One, because of people who get penalized, who really maybe shouldn't be. And also economically, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I have to look at the numbers really for now, but I'm wondering, I can see why there's backlash for that. And I'm wondering who's kind of advising them on that, because it's a very sensitive topic when it comes to like enforcing. That's why the churro gate was so big with the licenses, because these are sort of the most vulnerable people, where it's like, do we really want to spend time enforcing people who are like unlicensed vendors or people jumping fares when these are sort of the most vulnerable in society anyway? And I think it's a very real question. How do you sort of uphold the law, but then like not be like complete like douche authoritarians? Me? No, I was just referencing JJ Prince of New York, who's a rapper. I'm not from New York at all.
But I did want to say something about the whole adding more police into the subways. It's one of those things where is it necessarily true that if we add more police officers, then it's going to be safer? Or should we be focusing more on better trained police officers?
Who is out there talking about more police officers is going to make make things safer? If whoever the heck is saying that is ridiculous, because you can have a whole bunch of evil people out there. That doesn't make it better, because I mean, if they're evil, they're evil, or if they have implicit bias, they have implicit bias. If they have these situations, they have these situations. So I would hope that we would focus on a better training and better departments. One of the bills that I'm actually going to introduce is mandating that every single police department has at least one mental health counselor, one mental health training expert. That's the bill that I'm going to introduce here in South Carolina. So I want this mental health person should be training the police officers, but also be on call for any special situations where this mental health person will be also trained like a police officer, go through the academy as well. And that person, if it was a special situation where they needed just that person's special expertise, then we could dispatch that person to the scene. So I mean, I think that's that could fix a lot of the issues that we have if we have someone that specializes in these problems. Because you see a lot of these problems. I mean, it's mental health stuff going on. So I mean, more police officers definitely can't make things safer, smarter.
That's right.
Hey, baby.
Yes.
Well, my thing is, I've always pushed back because people are like, "Oh, defund," because I live in a very conservative area of Michigan. They're like, "Defund the police." It's going to be lawlessness. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again, But I do take the time to explain it. I'm like, guys, defund the police might be a poor choice of words, but it still works. You might not like how they said it, but it still works. Because defund the police means if your budget's $5 million and you use it all to hire cops and buy military grade weapons, okay, do you need a cop with a SWAT team with an AK-47 rocket launcher bullshit attachment to go handle a sibling disturbance?
Yeah.
No.
Like old lady who
Like Dr. Jermaine Johnson says, we need mental health professionals, and we need like clinical psychologist types, and we need social worker advocates to be like, okay, if that's the call, if it's not death and threat, and like it's a threat of violence, the cop is no longer the lead point contact person. They're there as a secondary role. That's how I see defund the police. Okay, this is not a violent thing. It doesn't need a gun, doesn't need to take first point. You send in a mental health professional, social worker, for whatever situation is deems appropriate. The police are there for security. They're the bouncer, the scene type of thing. They're there and they can wait for a cue for the what do you call it? Like in the military, it's the order of operations, the rules of engagement. Let that lead person determine that shit, man. Like Dr. I think the police academy should have a lane for these people to be like, your background's in mental health or social work. Now you should know the ins and outs of law enforcement. Then you can be the lead on these scenes. That's what defund the police means. Instead of spending $5 million to hire 500 cops or whatever it is, right? You hire 350 cops and 150 mental health professionals. That's it. That's what defund it means, to reallocate the same funds. Settle down. Your blue lives will still fucking matter. You know, stupid ass.
Yeah, what's that like flooring statistic? If the NYPD was its own standalone army, it'd be the third largest in the world.
Yes, it's bigger than most countries' military budgets total.
And I have a friend that works at the Pentagon. He mentioned that like military surplus, like they don't have anything better to do with it other than sell it at a discounted rate to local police organizations, and that like obviously does not help with the lack of training. We definitely need to attack it from multiple angles.
Agreed.
There's no magic bullet for the problem that this country's created since the day of the Constitution was signed. We've never lived up to the Constitution's promise still.
I could, and I've been looking for an opportunity to kind of explain. Did you see I tweeted something the other day about the same thing you just said there, Boris, about because Lindsey Graham said something about the systems and South Carolina not being racist and all this other stuff, and I was like, bro,
because Barack was president.
I was like the country was founded, like when the Constitution, all that stuff was written and all that. Like I wasn't considered a man, bro. I was like, I wasn't considered a human. So how can the systems who were created by racist people and under which we operate today, how can they not be racist? Like, how is that possible? You trying to tell me that the founders were the only people that didn't believe that they didn't believe in racism, or they didn't believe that black people? Like, come on, I was like, come on, man. Like, let's be for real. So,
yeah,
the systems were designed to work the way that they are working. We have not seen much reform since 1776, and and the thing is, we if we want to fix these systems, we have to redesign these systems with people who are going to be operating in that system. So you need to have people, who that system is going to potentially affect, and that's everybody: black, white, Asian, Indian, LGBTQ. I mean, it's going to affect all those people. So all those people should have a hand in designing these systems, man. I mean, I'm telling you, we all have to be governed under these systems.
Well, look at our country as a whole. I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. That kind of represents the country, right?
Yeah.
I have 1 son that's biracial and 3 that are white. Kind of looks like the country. Mm-hmm. But according to our country, this isn't how we look by representation. It should be 50-50 men to women. This country is misogynistic in origins. It should be 13% black. What are you going to call these numbers they want to throw out there, right? These labels. But that's not how it was built. It was built upon white supremacy, misogyny, class system. At first, you couldn't vote unless you owned property. Who owned property? White people, specifically men. Women couldn't own property. They can't vote. Like this whole thing is misogynistic, and racist.
You had to be a white male property owner.
Rich.
Yeah.
Rich property owner.
Yeah.
But I can go on way too long about this shit. So
right.
This is essentially how the country still is today. We just still, care about what the rich people are saying.
right.
Oh yeah, agreed. Just want to circle back real quick. I want to get to Small Potatoes' question and then DJ Elf's question. To Dr. Johnson, since you visited NY, how was the MG of the campaign there? That's the question Small Potatoes had for you.
He definitely had more volunteers than everybody else I saw out there. So I mean, it's a Yang city from what I can see. And when we got to the soccer game, so people don't even know. So that the soccer team in New York, they want their own stadium, and rightfully so. They deserve their own stadium. So we were out there, and I'm sure y'all saw that video of him jumping up and beating on the drums and celebrating with them. They had a petition out there. And Andrew Yang signed the petition. He signed the petition. They're not talking about that, but he signed the petition to help the group get their soccer stadium, and they went crazy when he signed it. I mean, they jumped up and down and celebrated everything. It was like, oh my God, they were so excited. Like, dude, Andrew Yang just signed a petition. Oh my God! Like it was crazy how much energy they had, man. And I was like, man, these guys love this from Andrew Yang. So the energy is through the roof. I see.
I can't wait. I am so ready to come to New York. Come on.
Oh yeah, I'm going back. I'm going back.
I'm going back. I'm going to be there the whole week of the election. So I'll be there.
All right. Everybody still here?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All righty. Next question. Oh, come here, computer. Next question. This one comes from DJ Elf. And this is coming from the comment where it's talking about mental health. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was saying, what if you get arrested and someone is just ready to determine that? What if you get arrested and someone is just ready to determine you as agitated and use this as a reason to dismiss your concerns, meaning that your mental health as of right then and there does not matter. And for just cause, they can arrest you and take you away without really deducting what's the situation going on and why you're feeling this way. And like I said, DJ Elp, you can always correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm trying to figure out what the person's talking about, but in that question, boys, you want to take a shot at that one?
Which one?
The question that was just asked. It was just asked about being arrested and determined agitated. Being determined agitated by who is my question.
Can you
arrested? Like, who are you being determined by as agitated? I'm not sure.
I was going to ask Ron once he gets back if he could.
Is this DJ Elf question?
Yeah.
I'm not going to address that shit. That dude's annoying. Bro, you're a troll. Shut up. I can't stand you, bro. You come at me, fuck you.
Oh, let's be nice.
No, not this one. I can't stand this guy, man. He drives me nuts. So I'll be real about it.
Incarceration shouldn't be the prescription every single time, especially when, the amount of money that is being spent per inmate really should be going towards mental health services. And that's I think the issue of the culture change that needs to happen within the NYPD. And not only that, just public services of identifying, what the difference is. But also, that also comes with more training and having, being able to filter out, but also the thing that I've noticed canvassing Uptown is how do you get a community to trust a police force that they have no interest of being, policed by, but if it continues on the path that it is when there's no policing, then violent crime is just going to stay where it is.
Well, it's all systemic. It all starts at the top. Leadership matters. And if you have someone in a system that's been there for 30 years plus to be the boss, right? And they prop up bad policing strategies, and then the trainers are bad strategists, the whole thing is not healthy to me. And That's why stop and frisk is a horrible policy idea. That's why what's this other one? I'm trying to think of the other policy ideas. Just it gives the police excuses to detain people and stop and question them, because you have constitutional rights to move through this country without being interfered by the state, which is a cop stopping you for a long time, right? The cop has I can't remember the exact words in the Constitution, but it says that there should be a reasonable time for being stopped. And they do all these types of things to agitate you, to get you to resist. So this is all just part of their game, man. Their power play. I don't know, man. It sucks as a parent having to tell your son there's new rules, there's specific rules you have to go by.
Oh yeah. I've done that. I if y'all saw that I did a complete breakdown about this new law that we got coming to South Carolina about the open carry and constitutional carry stuff. And I had to explain that to people. Like, look, man, this does not apply to you. Don't you dare try to do this. Don't you dare try to walk around with open carry your gun. Even if you do have a CWP, don't you dare do it, because it creates probable cause by the police officers. And once they get probable cause, then they come and pull you over. And as soon as you get out of line and say, man, why are you illegally searching me? Now you're resisting arrest. Now you got to struggle, and now you end up dead. So I said, do not follow up with that stuff. And it's even the worst one that's coming after that, called constitutional carry. That means anybody and everybody here in the state of South Carolina, as long as you don't have no felony, you can own a gun as much as you want. You can go to the store right now and go buy your gun and go do what you want to do with it. So it's crazy. And a lot of these policies need to be looked at.
Okay. That sounds actually kind of similar to what was going on in Colorado Springs, and the one thing that here in Michigan, especially in the town that I live in, a lot of the gun laws that are trying to be adopted, from what they're saying, is they're basing it out of what happened in Colorado, which is like, okay, cool, but who's really going to benefit from it at the end of the day? Because you look at Grand Rapids, you look at Flint, you look at Detroit, where the majority of the population, primarily Black, with, again, if we want to say half, or at least, a quarter of them probably have some kind of felony. It's going to be an issue with them, let alone trying to owning a firearm. And then let's say if open carry is, passed and whatnot, what's not to say that they're walking down the streets of Southeast Grand Rapids, cop pulls them up, cop runs up on them on the sidewalk and says, hey, what you doing with the firearm? Like, I'm legally able to carry it, blah, 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 is register you, then a whole can of worms is going to open up. It's like, come on. Like, who are you really trying to help at the end of the day? Who are you really trying to help? Blake, are there any other questions that were asked in the chat while I was gone that anybody knows of?
Not really.
Not really? Okay. Then let's see, we got Whispering Eyes.
There needs to be.
I agree. I agree. I agree with that. With that opinion right there, because it once you know how police are, like how the police force was created, then you realize, yeah, maybe there does need to be. Just look at the origins of it. Look at the origins of policing, and then you'll realize that, yeah, you know what, the entire thing needs to be reimagined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that in Japan, I think the police officers know like basic karate or something, to do with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I totally agree that there should be, like a minimum purple belt, just some sort of basic, like martial arts,
hand-to-hand combat of some sort. Yeah, not lethal.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Philippines some years ago, because they had a lot of, funny enough, obesity and like on the force, that they were trying to actually get more fitness so that you can do the hand-to-hand combat. And so it's interesting to see countries have taken that on. Salt Lake City, I know, did a lot of de-escalation training a few years ago. So hopefully you see more of that, where it's like you can do certain de-escalation, martial arts, just things that will make you assess the situation differently, right? But
yeah, there's a very specific New York or NYPD culture issue that's going on here, where I'm from upstate, like an hour away. It's a pretty red area, and a couple of my friends actually work on the NYPD. And what they tell me is once they became a member of the force, they're like rite of passage, so to speak. Like the NYPD puts all their like fresh blood like way uptown, like in the hoods where like they get shot at, and then that just creates like the mental like connection of like, if someone is this certain color skin, they're gonna shoot at me, and that's not particularly helpful either. And yeah, that's something that we need to change as well.
Oh yeah, agreed. Blake has a question for you, Dr. Johnson. He said just got here late. Wanted to know what's South Carolina House of Representative District 30. What's it like down there?
Which district? Which
80.
one? My district?
80. District 80.
Yeah. Oh, the new 80, baby. So we're very, very rural community. But it's a district that's actually growing right now. It's growing in certain parts because of all this fast development. And I'm trying to get it to slow down. That development is going so fast right now. But our county isn't open for like hearings and things like that. So people can't even go in there to voice their opinions about the development that's coming to their neighborhoods. But it's a big area. It's a big area. I got about 42,000 constituents in my district, and I span 2 different counties. So I have the lower part of Richland County, and I have a small part of Kershaw County. I've got a Fort Jackson, the military base. So yeah, I've got a lot of people in it. Got a lot of cool people around here. And the new 80, if y'all ever want to come visit the new 80, man, I got y'all. I'll take care of you if you ever want to come visit the new 80. Boys, I'm waiting for you, man, to get down here, man. Come on down to the District 80. Yeah, we're doing some big things down here in the District 80, but I can tell you that I'm building some things and fixing things up, man. And so anytime y'all want to come on down here.
Okay.
Hell yeah, I'm definitely ready to come to South Carolina, man.
Yeah, I've never been, so I definitely got to take you up on that.
The
Yeah,
Cadillac.
knew what was really in South Carolina, honestly.
Oh yeah, agreed. I mean, because I know me and my family, we were talking about coming up to South Carolina. Like, oh, for real? They're like, yeah, like bet. Like I got a homie I got to see.
Come on, y'all come to South Carolina. I'll take you to the State House and let y'all see where we got elected, where we are, because I got elected, y'all got elected with me. So y'all come on to South Carolina, I'll take y'all up there and show you where we got elected.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Let me grow my beard back out. Shit.
Is South Carolina the home of the Carolina Reaper, or is that North Carolina?
I know
North Carolina.
If it is, I've never heard of it. If it is,
Carolina Reaper.
No, I know the hot sauce, but I'm saying I don't. If it's known from here, like we don't talk about it. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, that
They hurt.
sounds like a good summer trip. Oh man.
Oh, a winter trip, summer, no sir.
Come on in the summer, man. Come on in the summer. What? Yeah, come on in the summer, the best time.
Listen, the only reason why I say summer trip because I don't like driving in the Michigan winter. I don't. My car is not built for the Michigan winter. My wife's SUV, maybe on a good day, maybe, but nah.
You built different.
Yeah.
I was not thinking driving. So the fact that you even said driving, I was like, this man's built different.
Dude, Dude, I'll put it to you like this. There's been times where I traveled from Colorado to Michigan, back and forth. I've done that, both ways. 18 hours, done that. So it's like, if I don't have to.
I drove 7.5 hours to Iowa 7 times in fucking 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm done with that. I am driving to New York City unless I raise proper funding because it's expensive to fly, man. Good Lord.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oof. Oh, yeah, man. Oh, Tyler, coming back, going to circle back to you. Before, I just saw a comment. Let's see.
Carol wins. It says still open on the Carolina border.
I'm not even sure. I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't seen any type of commercial or anything on it.
What is that?
It's a amusement park.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah, like a Six Flags.
Gotcha.
I like. Circling back, Tyler. What else is going on in New York that we should know about? I know DJ Elf, he's been posting a lot of stuff in the chat and everything else, and want to get your take on it too as well. Like, what else is going on? Like, besides campaigning and everything else, what else is going on in New York City that you would like to kind of like help us prepare? Especially, I know Boise's planning on traveling, and for anybody else that's watching that's pretty much wanting to come out to New York, like, what's it like? What to expect? Things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, so outside of campaigning itself, there's been obviously a national mass vaccine effort. And so it's showing like in the subways and in the streets, like slowly more and more people are coming out. And so, yeah, there's plenty of museums, plenty of places to see, obviously, like plenty of places to bike as well, for what it's worth. But I mean, yeah, right, like New York is so diverse, so you can just hop on a subway and 40 minutes later in a completely different community and you get to try different ethnic foods. That's at least my favorite time of spending downtime, as well as pick up basketball. But yeah, I've just been honed in on the campaign and cryptocurrency, and because that's the thing with a lot of people keep asking Andrew what his cryptocurrency stance is, but with here in New York, there's this bit license that is about 8 years old. Right. Like, and as Andrew was saying, the presidential, think about all the innovation that has gone on in the last 8 years, especially in the cryptocurrency space. But that is regulated by the New York Department of Finance, which is located up in Albany. And so the next mayor is going to have to negotiate with the governor in order to actually get that kind of stuff passed. And obviously, right, we have Wall Street down here. And so we really should be, moving forward and coinciding, hand in hand with, common sense cryptocurrency regulations that doesn't allow New York and frankly the rest of America from getting behind from the rest of the world, because there's I don't want to like get way too far on my like cryptocurrency shilling, but very excited about what the technology has to offer in the future. But I mean, you can even go and check out like there are so many places in New York. That's like a pretty complicated question to answer. It's like depending on what kind of food you want to see, what kind of like history you want to see. Like one of my favorite spots is downtown by Battery Park, because you get to overlooks the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. And as somebody who's kind of a history buff, like sometimes I'll go there just to stare into empty space for half an hour, because like all the history that's gone through there, people thinking like this is the land of opportunity and what is like ahead of you in that time.
Y'all see that?
Yeah,
I mean, I gonna have to.
I just looked it up to make sure.
Is it legit?
Yeah, based on what I'm reading, it is.
Well, the accusation is just that, though. I don't put any merit on this shit, so
I said based on what I'm reading.
Okay,
I hear you.
This is not normally. I don't see breaking news in the chats of McCoy's stream. This might be a first.
There you go.
This is the first time I've seen.
Inferno's the man, though, man. He's one of the OGs, man. He's been around for a minute too.
Okay.
Word.
Okay.
Oh, from a former intern.
Yeah, I saw the intern.
That's so gross. Like the man's 60 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God! And because you see, he called on Cuomo to resign, and now he got this situation. They're gonna be calling on him to step down.
Practice what you preach, Reverend.
He was like,
They are gonna call him to step down.
Not even that, like, but karma is something else. Karma is
some people are so
something.
blind to like the whole their own shit that they do, you know.
Projection.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how that's gonna unfold because sheesh. That's like exactly what he says. It's like, what is going on in these?
There it is.
Tim's ready to go after. Wait, the Tim's.
Yeah.
Leave the Tims out of it, guys. Leave the Tims out of it.
Look,
Wait, what is?
That's so
go ahead.
What is that? What's the one? What was going
Oh,
on?
you didn't see that video, Toby?
But the Tims,
I don't think so.
Toby?
No,
the comedy club thing. That's all I'll say. I don't want to give it no more airtime than it deserves.
there's like a lot of stuff that I just was not.
You're probably smart, bro. You're smart.
Yeah, stay off the New York Twitterverse. It is very toxic.
I was to say, Twitter is just like my soul dies a little bit every time I go on that app, and I don't have the app anymore. Like I got a new phone in February, and I have not reinstalled the app to this day. I don't think there are some disadvantages to not having it, but there are some pretty good advantages to having it, not having it. And so I'm gonna keep how it is right now.
I'll say this: there's a disadvantage. You don't answer your DMs apparently. So I DM'd you a minute ago.
Called me out. Called me the F out. No,
I'm
you're
supposed
right.
to holler at you, man.
I know sometimes like I'll be messaging, the group, and then I'll be like, oh, I have to text the group because Toby is not on Twitter.
This is true.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay, Toby.
Yeah,
we still love you. We still love you.
Oopsies.
Yeah, that's bad on Stringer though, boy. He's in trouble now.
Yeah, especially when I was canvassing like the Upper East Side, there were a couple of doors that were like, I'm definitely not voting for Stringer. He's been around for 25 years, and I've seen him do some creepy stuff.
Really?
Well,
See, it's a pattern. This kind of stuff is never isolated. There's a pattern when these people are accused. All these women. Oh wait, this was something he just did to respond to the accusations.
Well, that's the thing though, man. Like, were you there? Like, what do you know? Like, how can you sign a letter that says, stand by his character? Like, there's people with character that are assholes, the people with power. It's about power, and dominance. Oh, yeah. And nobody's in what do you call it? Nobody's like perfect, but that's when you can definitely perfect not to do. But these people in power, man, they always take advantage of it. Historically speaking, not everyone 100%.
Right. It's sad though.
But it, karma, man, like you're saying, Ron, he was being all projecting onto
high and mighty.
Yeah.
Hey, that commercial had a bad timing too, boy. Woo, he could have saved some money on that. Not even bothered.
Oh man. Jeez.
This is breaking news. I love it.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, I was gonna say like that the ad season is gonna be a little crazy, right? Like Andrew even played parody to it, like Andrew Yang left the city where it was the lowest, and then not paid for, paid for by whatever pack, and then the next one's gonna be like leader, like visionary.
Yeah, he changed the music on it too.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good edit. But yeah, I mean, here it's gonna it costs anywhere from 800,000 to $1 million each week to run ads. So we just saw Sean Donovan re-upped on another mill from his father. And Scott Stringer, yeah, another million, yeah.
And Donovan don't have a shot in hell, just to be 100% honest, man. He's not polling well. Again, we know the polls are bullshit for the most part, but when it's some consistencies there too, time after time, somebody's on top every time. But there's always somebody that's not in the top 10, low enough top 5, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And Donovan's one of those people you just forgot he's even in the race, you know?
I heard his name a lot in the beginning when there was when people were kind of talking about who these different people, and I had no idea who was from who and who. I didn't even know what race any of these people were.
Yeah, I'm not a New Yorker, so I don't know anything about. I didn't know what the hell a comptroller did. I never heard of that term before. So there's a huge learning curve. Like, okay, how does this work? These what's it called, Tyler? Like the borough presidents, right?
Yeah, so here's like the somewhat hilarious thing. I try to find humor in it. If you're a Manhattan voter, in a lot of districts, you're going to be voting for city council, Manhattan DA, Manhattan borough president, mayor, as well as comptroller. So that's 5 separate names that you have to put on ballot, and there's like at least 7 people running in each like area. Generally speaking, like how's anybody supposed to keep up with this?
25 votes,
Right? Because of the rank twist.
Yes, and for what it's worth too, you don't need to put 5 names on your RCV ballot. If you're like Yang Gang, Andrew Yang number 1, that's it. You're not required to do 5.
Right, that's the thing too. Only do 1 if you could.
Yeah, the attacks are only going to start ramping up. I mean, if they're already priming, Andrew Yang to be Trumpian and, doesn't understand government and this and that, like, the burner is only going to turn up. And that's why, we could really use help from people that are not just in New York City, right? Like, I know phone banking isn't great and text banking isn't amazing, but, that really helps us here on the ground because we're currently in the voter ID phase. We're not doing persuasion voting. So if anybody is watching that's thinking that, oh, I don't want to ruin this for Andrew, you're not going to, because we already have the strips going and we're just trying to identify who, the temperature check of communities and how they feel about Andrew.
So do you think that a phone banking would improve name recognition or just deflect misinformation?
I would say a little bit of both, but Andrew's name recognition is so damn high here in the city that I mean, at this point he's, it's more deflecting in misinformation, I'd say, because there are still a sizable amount of people who think he's from California.
Well, I'm under no illusion. When I come to New York, I'm not there to convince anyone of what to say to vote because they don't give a shit what I think. Just like I learned that in Iowa. I knocked on all those fucking doors and they're like, where are you from? I'm like, I drove all the way from Michigan to support Andrew Yang. And they said, uh-huh. You know what I mean? Like, so outsiders, so I'm coming there to help New Yorkers talk to New Yorkers.
Like in Georgia, that's what they did in Georgia.
Right. I'm there to help facilitate the conversation. Like, I'm here to get you to where you need to be. I'll drive people to knock on doors, but I'm not going to lead the conversation because it's not my vote. It's not my race to decide. I'm here to support. Like, that's something I've learned from Iowa and Georgia too, where, boy, my opinion really didn't matter on the doorsteps. Now, phone banking is different and text banking is different. It's more rapid fire. It's not as personal. But yeah, I just, all those drives to Iowa really just, I guess I didn't help all that much, but I wanted to, I really tried, we all tried, but Iowa voters just didn't give a shit what we think, man. Wow.
But you definitely, got that experience and learned that. So now,
name recognition. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. We got all these stars.
Oh, and also want to drop this extra little tidbit too. Oh, thank you, Tamara. Yeah. If there's an undecided voter, whichever campaign makes first contact significantly increases their chances of putting that candidate on the ballot. And there are so many undecided voters, even with 56 days out, people don't know that there's a mayor race going on, generally speaking. Obviously, like the affluent areas, do know what the deal is, but they're right. What I find particularly interesting is Andrew's leading in the polls anywhere from 10 to 13%, let's call it, generally. And these are, these polls are weighted in likely Democratic primary voters. Mm-hmm. But the amount of youth, like let's call it 18 to 35, who've never voted in a primary, that could feel real galvanized with Andrew if the message is brought across. Those aren't weighted in the polls. And I genuinely think Andrew is the only candidate that can have a lump sum of those kind of people come out and get involved in their first primary.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something too, is the voter turnout historically has been going down dramatically over the last couple decades in New York City. And de Blasio won with 8.5%.
What?
Yeah.
I think I did hear that.
So and that's just a head up, right? But with ranked choice voting, I think and the work that all the progressive candidates specifically doing on the ground to get new people involved, a demographic that didn't vote, like you're saying, Tyler, was it 18 to 35 first time voters?
That's my personal thesis, by the way. That's not like any inside scoop, but yeah.
No, but I mean, like, it's all about getting turnout up. Like, if you can create a whole new voting block, they won't see it coming. It'll just totally, shock the shit out of them when you have a 50% turnout increase in one mayoral election, which I think is very possible. Or it could be done. I don't know if it's very likely, but that'd be cool. And it's not a lot to do because I think I was trying to look up this number, total amount of voters in the 2016. Is it 6 years for mayor?
4
years. So yeah, 2016 election, or 2017 actually. But yeah. So like I can't remember the total numbers. It's not as many as you think it'd be for a huge city like New York. It's like 10% or something like that, 10 or 15%, I believe it was. Voted.
Yeah, exactly. So many people feel disenfranchised, and
right,
I think the system's working for them.
Even Andrew.
Do you feel that because of the 2020 election, since it had record voter turnout, that people are probably just more galvanized to vote in general?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like I was down in Georgia as well to help out with the runoff election. And obviously like that, the context is a little different there because like there was so much money being poured into that state. But in my head, I'm like, why can't we do something similar here in New York where the youth feel activated and excited for the future rather than thinking, it's just going to be another crony.
Yeah, Georgia was a great example of what can happen. Really, really effective.
I will say that I really feel bad for the Georgia residents after Christmas because from the 26th to January 5th, they were getting bombarded by every single PAC, every single organization, phone banking, text banking, knocking on doors. This one woman eventually answered her door. I think this was like 2 days out from the election. And it was just, it was like 30 phone bank, 30 phone banks and like 30 text banks. Like in the same day, like it was just a little too much. And that's like the work that we do now, I'd say for the next 2.5 weeks is going to, really pay dividends compared to, everything else. The debates, people are really looking forward to those, but they don't start in another month. I don't remember the exact dates, but there are going to be 3 series of debates on NY1 Spectrum.
I got them saved on my phone.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
3 debates.
Early June, and one's kind of inconsequential. But what I will say too is like, the voter suppression that's happened like nationwide that I've noticed is pretty crazy. Like even with Iowa, like the DNC magically changed our voting precinct, or double booked our voting precinct, and like a lot of people didn't know it changed. In New York City last year's primary, a lot of people when they asked for their mail-in ballots or absentee only got their presidential and not their local congressional. It was supposed to be 2 separate sheets. And then they didn't clearly say that you had to put your own postage because it said postage paid on top of it. But if you didn't put your own postage, then your votes would be invalidated. And in New York, the primary is in June every year. People were getting letters in December saying, I'm sorry, but your June ballot was not valid or whatever. It was invalidated. And then down in Georgia for the runoffs, a lot of times, and obviously this is different because it was a GOP run, but the precinct locations for voting changed last second, where people that voted in that same exact venue for the November election did not have to go, like they went to the same place and were turned away and told them they had to go to a different place. So like we just want to make sure, like, Andrew or just, every candidate doesn't fall under that. I mean, Andrew mainly, because he's getting it from all angles, where with the vaccination rate, we'd really like people to vote in person. To avoid all this nonsense.
The first debate's on May 13th, and then the 26th.
Nice.
Oh, that's what's coming.
Oh,
And
wow.
then- and then June 10th. They're all about 2 weeks apart.
Okay.
Yep, 13th, 26th, and then the 10th. Like you said, the 10th is like 10 days, or was it 23rd?
26 days before early voting. The early
2
voting
weeks.
period here in New York is June 12th to June 20th, and then you can vote on the 21st, and then 22nd is election day.
Mm.
Okay, so we just have a week. Okay. Or June 12th. Yeah, it's basically a
Yeah,
week.
13th isn't, but what? A little over 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
my
debate.
birthday,
Most
so-
people are probably going to be decided by that point.
Mhm. Yeah, that's going to make a very interesting dynamic for sure. Oh, that's going to be very interesting.
Mhm.
They're going to team up against them. They're going to try to club at his legs. It's so obvious, like, with what they're priming up and what narratives they're already shaping. Like, so that's why, yeah. I mean,
I think his debate prep's going to be pretty on point, considering that's kind of his thing too.
Oh yeah.
So I like, he's quick-witted, thinks on his feet, and is a serious prepper. So I think that he knows exactly what they're going to come at him with. Simple talk, and they're all going to be punching up. He's Joe Biden right now. They're all punching up, chasing him. So I think he'll solidify himself there. And especially when they start getting ugly with each other, he's going to sit back and just say, "Watch the mud. Watch the mud." He'll be shaking that shit off. Like, hey, bro, you getting some of your mud on me? Don't stop slinging it my way.
Right. Oh,
That'll be exciting to see, actually.
so we had a question from Tamar, and this was directed to Dr. Johnson. She wanted to know, yep, I got you, Tamar. I got you. What are your predictions? Yeah.
Oh man! Even if I thought my buddy was going to lose, I would still tell you he's going to win. I'm just letting you know, but he's going to win, man. Tyler, you got it.
oh yeah. I mean, I just, with the thing that, I mean, maybe I'm just being overly nervous here, but the one thing that I keep telling myself and other people on the ground is, like, we still need to act like he's the underdog. We can't coast this, because even during signature gathering, people were like, "Oh, he's gonna win anyway. I'm not gonna sign the ballot." And I'm like, "What?" And I'd be like,
"We don't do anything. We don't win."
Yeah, like backpedaling with them in like 32-degree weather. It's like cold and windy, and I'm like, "Please sign the ballot. Like, we like just do it." And they're like, "Oh, he'll win anyway." And I'm like, "Wow, that's the exact attitude for how we mess this up." So
Yeah.
It's on the ballot to win.
Yeah.
Man.
yeah, so I'm like, even though we got the job done, still a little salty about how they made us do. The Board of Elections made us go on signature gather during, all the craziness. But especially that it seemed like the other candidates just did the, the safer route with, the Democratic clubs that have already endorsed them, where they just like passed around the flyer in their own apartment buildings.
Yeah. I think that it's hard not to be positive. It's not hard to be positive. You don't want to be false bravado, like you're saying, Todd. I think it's a good idea to fight like an underdog, because he still is. He's not the establishment. And them people can really, they proved it to Bernie, man. Biden never won a damn primary until South Carolina because of one Mr. Claiborne. That's it.
Clyburn. Mr.
Clyburn.
Clyburn.
I'm sorry, Clyburn. Yeah.
That's my congressman.
Biden owes everything to that man. Period. His legacy belongs to Clyburn. And so, to me, the establishment, they can gather like to punch up. So that's my big worry. Is like you're saying, Todd, they might have a legit strategy for coming at him and everyone is just going to dog him out, you know. And I wonder how the mudslinging might go, you know. So that's my only real concern is them, just kind of correlating with each other and you know, pulling the Pete and the Amy Klobuchar kind of situation.
Well, that's the interesting part is like, like they're predictable, but they're not stupid, right? And
yes,
I think the other candidates have too much pride to drop out and endure, like do the whole Amy and Pete thing. Like, but I mean, we'll see. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's not like you have this sort of like, I don't know how much the DNC is really going to come in with this, like New York City Democratic establishment. I don't know exactly how much of a sway there is where it's like, oh, we have to beat Trump. We have to, you know, Obama and other DNC people made their phone calls. Like, I don't know that New York City, if it's going to be that deep, like who's gonna sort of step in? Is it gonna, are they? And it's interesting because it's like, who are the big players? You're gonna have the congressional delegation. I mean, of course, it has to be New York City based. So it's like, how much sway does Chuck Schumer and Gillibrand, or I guess you do have some reps like AOC, but she's outside the more establishment Dems. You have other New York. I don't know. I'm just trying to think like who would really be those big players who are going to step in and like, does anyone give a crap if this person?
Sorry to cut you off. I think there are two variables here. We'll see where AOC steps. It seems like she's going to stay out of it because it would look very bad on her if she picks the wrong person. She did endorse Gerald Nadler last year in the primary, who has endorsed Scott Stringer.
She endorsed Nadler? Oh, for his
I didn't
know
run. Yes.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
And yeah, she endorsed Nadler and Pelosi. And so that's the first one. The second one is within Jerry Nadler's district. The whole south side, or the whole west side, excuse me, of Manhattan, going from Columbia all the way down to downtown, has this one street that is the financial engine of arguably the world, Wall Street. And that's at least like, we'll see, like, you know, because I think if we continue this conversation, it just gets into hearsay and conspiracy theory. But those are like two interesting variables in mind.
Fair enough. Oh wow, this has been awesome. This really is, and even then, because again, I know me when I was thinking about this, like, man, I know nothing when it comes to the city in New York, and even when I thought about like doing filmmaking, text banking, and anything else, it was like, man, I really do not know New York City's politics. I don't know anything about it. I don't like. Sure, I could go ahead and Google, you know, all the candidates, read their bios, their policies, what their plans are, and everything else. But even still, is like trying to think like somebody from New York and try to get into their head is like it kind of doesn't rattle, you know. And it's like what Boyce was saying, you know, like how you went out to Iowa. It's like, I don't know if that's going to be the same effect. Like, you know, yeah, I'm from Michigan. I'm Andrew Yang. I'm Yang. I'm here to support Andrew Yang. Well, you know, they're like, well, you're not from here. You're not from New York City. You don't know what goes on. No, I don't, but I could try to help you out. And it's like, it's going to kind of be like in my opinion, like a disconnect. And it could very well hurt him versus help him. So it's like, I'll find other ways to help out and just to kind of, again, get that name recognition out there, even though, yes, you know, Tyler, you said it's already out there. Like a lot of people, they know of him. They like them. They like him. My thing is those people who don't have him in their top five, try to get inside their brains and kind of figure out, okay, why is he not in your top five? Like, what kind of things are you looking for that he has not said? Or if he does address them, will he make it into your top five? You know, yes or no? and just kind of have that open dialogue, that open conversation, and just see like where each resident, citizen, where their head is at as far as them picking their candidates.
Usually, Ron, like I appreciate your optimism here. Most of the time, if people don't have Andrew ranked even in their top 5 or 6, it's for either misinformation or they'll be like someone texted. I was text banking and phone banking the other day, and someone got back to me and they're like, Andrew Yang, no, he went to an Ivy League school. Like I'm a CUNY, born and bred, raised, like city colleges in New York, like CUNY, New York. Like, CUNY is like, I went to a CUNY. I can't support somebody who went to Ivy Leagues. Like, and at that point, it's just like, all right, thank you for your time. Right.
It's not even
never heard of that.
It's not even a single policy voter. It's just like
he went to an Ivy League and
New York Pride, New York hat. I don't even know. Like that's a different.
Well, it's a culture. It's a cultural thing too there where it's anti big establishment too, where the have and have nots is exacerbated in New York City, just like any other metropolis. They demonize each other or demonize the rich because they feel like they're taking money out of their pocket. And I get it, but oh yeah, he's a Mets fan.
Oh yeah, exactly. Mets and Nets. I mean, I'm a Yankees and Knicks fan, and it will never be a Nets play town, even if KD, Kyrie, and James Harden are able to bring it home. Which does remind me, this is super random, but Zach Roman like tweeted earlier today like who they wanted on Yank Speaks, and I replied like, let's get Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman out there. Like that would be a really cool podcast. Guys,
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Get somebody from the Nets on there for sure.
Oh no, that was my suggestion. But, like Rich Kleiman, like I tagged Rich because I know like Katie doesn't really use his Twitter, but I tagged Rich just to like get it on the radar. Also, why not, right?
Mm-hmm. Gotta shoot your shot, man.
Right.
Hey, good
I know
people.
nothing about sports.
I'm about to hop off here and go put my baby to bed and everything.
Yeah.
But it's always great hopping on here. You never know when I'm gonna pop up again.
Hey, it's a pleasure having you all here, man. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Hey, boys, see you in New York, and you're coming with a black beard again. We gotta have a black beard for New York, man.
Don't grow that fast, brother. I don't think I want to dye it again. Money well spent, but I didn't like the black beard look personally. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It was terrible.
Wow.
Raised $6,000 for his campaign though in 24 hours. That's pretty cool.
Oh.
I'm trying to think. Oh, Ron, there is another way, like within like the next week or two, that out-of-staters could get immediately involved. If we're doing recruitment calls for volunteering, where a lot of people have signed up, like saying that they're interested in volunteering. That I think we just need to make the relationship and connection with that. That might be particularly helpful, or even more helpful than just blind phone banking.
Okay.
Are you a part of our Slack?
And which one did Yankee New York Slack?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'll DM all the details, in
He's like, oh no, not another Slack channel.
Oh my god. Oh man, I got like
blowing it up.
Look, 4 or 5. That's okay. I'll make it work. Hit me up. Send it to me, and I'll get in there.
Sure.
I will get in there. And again, a lot of this is more so understanding what's going on, so that way I can better help. That's it. You show me the ropes, you show me what to do, what to say, what not to do, what not to say, and whatever blueprint that you have out there, then let's have at it. Let's have at it, and let's go.
How can people that watch this sign up for phone banking?
Yeah, I mean, specifically just y4ny.com/volunteer, and then we populate the lists and reach out to people, and that's
Cool.
And anybody anywhere can volunteer. It's not just New Yorkers.
Yes, exactly.
Out of staters, we got to help any way we can.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, boom, got it. Volunteer page, link, copied. We're gonna make this real. We're gonna make this real easy. Okay.
Mhm.
Boom. So here's the link.
Because like you are right, Ron. I don't want to discourage anyone from volunteering, but there's a certain point where it hits an inflection where it's really more people on the ground. And to answer your concern about like how you don't want to like misspeak for Andrew, like New York City politics is super complicated. It like really goes neighborhood by neighborhood.
Right.
Just like a very controversial topic, defunding the police. Like there are certain neighborhoods uptown, like of Nitro residents that actually have said that they prefer a police station closer to their project because of the rampant crime. But obviously that literally varies neighborhood by neighborhood. It's just like, to me, when I heard that testimony, I was like, wow, that sounds pretty counterintuitive, but we can.
Right.
We can
No, and I get that. I get that a lot, and I understand that because, again, where if somebody were to ask me, like, what's the city like, what's the politics like in the city of Three Rivers, I'm like, it's very Republican. It's very red, very Republican, and Boyce can attest to that because he's like what, a county over.
Yeah.
If that, and again, same situation with him. It's very red, very Republican. And even if I were to go like up north to like Kalamazoo, like I know the area, it's kind of like Democratic, depending upon what's the climate of the city, and I can tell them like, yeah, very Democratic, especially if you go to the north side, east side of Kalamazoo. Yeah, you're gonna find a lot of people that tend to vote Democrats.
Is there a Derek Jeter statue in Kalamazoo yet?
There's a shrine at the high school, that's for sure.
Yeah, Kalamazoo Central. That's where I graduated from. So yeah, his picture is plastered right there on the wall. My locker was like right down where they have a wall dedicated to those like celebrities, athletes who graduated from Central. Yeah, I walk past it every day. I'm like, he graduated from Central? Like, okay. To me, it wasn't a big deal. I'm like, okay, whatever. But obviously he's making big moves.
There's another one from Kalamazoo Central right now. Another athlete. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, all I know is, what's that?
Greg Jennings.
Oh yeah, Greg Jennings, right? Green Bay Packers. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
It's funny, he's going to be more remembered for the YouTube video meme than actually being Green Bay Packer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we all get our 15 seconds someday, I guess. I hope mine's not embarrassing, I do plenty to embarrass myself too, man. I'm all about it. I don't care. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to just meeting more people in New York, man, and just absorbing the city. 'Cause I've never stayed in the city. I've been there, but I haven't stayed there before. And
oh yeah, you definitely have to hit up Nell. He's given everyone who's come out of state the proper New York City tour.
Well, and I have the Ultimate Pizza Challenge. I'm a deep dish guy, Chicago. So I've had deep dish, and I'm gonna compare it to the Chicago Big Slice, the fold, and I'll let you guys know which one I'll have a hashtag challenge of some sort for the Yang Gang, like deep dish versus New York or whatever.
Right.
We all deep down know what the answer is, but I'm glad.
Deep dish, I know. I'm a little biased, I know, but I'm gonna give it a chance. But Nell's definitely Nell Ching. Who else? The one lady, Vivica. She's from Bronx. I think Nell's in Queens. Vivica Ching's in Manhattan. We need to have some type of big outdoor event though at one of the outdoor parks or something. Get everybody together and have like a cookout or something, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something because regardless of what happens, we should be celebrating all the work that that we put in so far.
I think we should reach out to the Morales and Garcia people too. But hey, man, let's all get together and just celebrate the fact that we're doing shit. Like a camaraderie type of thing. We don't have to hate each other, or I think it helps. I think that would be helpful. Like the week before the election, like the weekend before the election, have like a thing and invite the other candidate supporters. Be like, let's make this a volunteer thing or a community type of thing, like political activists or whatever you want to call it. A good way of building bridges.
Oh yeah, agreed. Definitely agreed.
Bridges is good.
Definitely agreed. All righty, it is getting on 11 o'clock.
Oh, Ender says if Yang wins, will we find out his middle name? His middle name's Frickin'.
MF, as a certain Tom would say.
Yes, that's right.
Andrew MF Yang.
Yeah, man. Nerds is awesome.
Yeah, did you guys see the picture that Evelyn tweeted this morning about him?
Yes.
Yeah.
It seemed to get a lot of traction between non-Yang gangers or non-Andrew Yang supporters.
Yeah.
Just to be like, wow, like I can kind of see the appeal now.
Well, I actually commented my own photo when I was 19 years old in the military, head full of hair and a young buck. I was like, because we're the same age. And so I'm like, oh, same year, same age. This is what I look like back then. It's ridiculous, a skinny
Black
kid.
hair?
No beard. Just as in the military, so we had to shave and had hair and just out getting drunk in like Europe somewhere. I can't remember where the hell the picture was at. Somewhere I was deployed overseas. But I like the interaction. That was a great picture too, man. That's like not a popular one. Like that's the next T-shirt. You know damn well.
And he had an earring too.
I might as well make that damn T-shirt. Yeah, the earring. Mr. Clean, hell yeah. That was a rule.
That's a good picture. He's a good looking man.
Yeah, I need to see the picture.
If you guys do know any graphic designers or people, like merch at yangfornewyork.com is where you can pitch your merch ideas. Yeah.
Look at that. But yeah.
I don't know if you're here for it, Tyler. I started LLC. I'm actually going to make a Twitter T-shirt series of like, for everybody in the Yang gang or Yang supporters that are from New York, I'm going to make shirts that you can have. I'll customize them for you with your own tweet where Andrew either liked you, commented, or shows that he followed you, like as a badge of honor. Like Andrew followed my ass, like I like to wear that as like a shirt series. That'd be a fun thing to do. And if you could just send me the file, I'll make the shirt and send it to you. Like it'd be a fun thing.
Yeah.
Fundraiser for the campaign.
So I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but the New York City Campaign Finance Board is much more strict than, the national. And so you can do that kind of stuff as long as you're not taking donations. Like if you do it out of pocket and you're giving it to volunteers, but the moment that money gets involved and spent, then that actually is considered, even though you're a volunteer, an expenditure within Yang for New York, Inc.
Okay, then can I just do it privately and do a percentage of the proceeds goes to the campaign as an individual donation?
I mean,
or am I just fucking around, like getting too close to the edge?
You can do it, just don't like I don't want to be giving you bad advice here. Yeah, I mean you shouldn't be doing it.
I can't say it with the premise that this is for the campaign, in other words.
Yeah, exactly.
Just make it strictly a business thing, and then I can just do whatever I want with the money, quote unquote.
What we were told is like you can make merch for other volunteers, but the moment money gets involved, it gets a little tricky, and you need to back it down in the campaign. So yeah, if you wanted to, from the kindness of your own heart, print all these T-shirts and give them out to volunteers, that wouldn't be an issue.
Well, it has to be a one-on-one transaction because you got to send the tweet you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I could just make it a one-on-one thing, and that'd be just another way of or I could just do it separate from the campaign. Just make it about. Well, I can't do it for Humanity Forward because I know that's a no-no. Humanity Forward can't fuck with Andrew's campaign, vice versa. Damn. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, we've had a couple volunteers like print their own buttons and bumper stickers, for example, and have just been giving them out. But yeah, I know it's really tricky, right? Because Andrew has signed up for matching funds, everything is like under a lens of how he's spending the money, and they only have well, not only, but they have $7 million as a fundraising cap, and then that's supposed to go to around 11 million.
Yeah, and I don't want to be perceived as a grifter. You know what I mean? Trying to capitalize off of the gang. I've been called grifter so many times, it's hilarious. But
you've been called grifter? I just
dude, a bunch, man, for real. Yeah, man. Fucking grift, you trying to get rich off the gang? I'm like, ooh, I suck at grifting. You know, like, I really suck at this. My grift game is lacking.
Yo, funny story about that. When I first met Andrew in Davenport, Iowa, like I asked him to sign my book, and he's signing it, and he kind of gave me a look like, don't sell this. Like he gave me like the stern, like Asian dad look, like don't even think about it.
No selling. Do not sell.
Oh,
there are
man.
people that do that. They'd come there to those events and get a free book, and like they get them from other people. You don't want your book? I'll take it. And then they go. You see it on Amazon, man. No joke.
Oh my god,
for real, because they give away the books at the live events, you know, all over Iowa, man. He gave away, who knows, like 10,000 goddamn books in a month, man. There's a lot of books.
Oh man.
Yeah, every event they gave away a couple dozen books and stuff to people that showed up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
That's a good book.
Oh yeah, I still got mine. Well, Yang Gang, it's been fun. It's been awesome. Yeah, there you go.
At the ready.
Beer.
Post shift.
I just need something in my hand. So
Something.
That's a good name for a beer, though, post. But yeah.
I love this shit, guys. I'll always do it. I just love this stuff, man.
Yeah, that's so great to have you on.
Yeah,
I didn't realize this was going to be the episode at first, but I was like, boys is welcome anytime, and so here we are.
Well, I would like to welcome you to my channel, but you don't answer DMs.
See, that's what you say, but when have you? I don't see any DM history on Twitter, at least. So,
well, hold on.
Fighting words.
You done pulled out the phone on you, Toby.
Yeah, for real. It's a couple weeks ago because I talked to you I was in the comments on you guys' live stream before and said I'd like to have you on and you guys on and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's a while back.
Yeah.
I can't help you on that one, Toby.
Fair enough. We're connected on a few platforms. I'll say
269-252-3930. I don't give a shit.
Oh, you giving out your number? I didn't catch that at all.
Don't worry. I give it to you.
Ron got it.
It's like some Mike Jones thing.
Who? I put my number out there all the time. I don't care.
The rapper Mike Jones, he'd give out his phone number in his.
Oh no! Like I meant like right because his song like who Mike Jones.
Oh,
there you go.
Great.
He knows. And he'd answer the phone, man. People call him. He'd be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah.
That's wild.
Relatedly, Usher apparently was giving out his phone number for a big thing that he's doing this summer, and this was announced like last summer. So he was like getting early on it that he was gonna go to Vegas and have this whole tour in like starting I think June or July. Excuse me, 2022. 2021 is this year. So yeah, apparently he's giving out his number, and you get text updates from him. I mean, I don't know if it's his real number, but
one of his numbers.
Probably not his real
number. His number is like a subscription push service. So if someone's trying to go to Vegas.
This is my number. I got one number.
I got
iPhone 12.
Awesome.
What's that?
Is that an iPhone 12?
Yeah. My first iPhone.
Had 12 numbers. I was like, okay, Tyler.
The camera quality on that is insane. Like,
I'm gonna be live streaming on that bad boy when I get to New York. Don't you worry. And I'm gonna I have a mobile booster too now, so it won't be all granulated and shit like in Iowa and California.
Oh man,
just gotta step my quality up, you know.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Looking forward to it.
All right, Yang Gang, we are out of here. We will catch you guys later. Thank you, boys. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Dr. Jermaine Johnson. We got the links in the description box below. So if you want to donate to the campaign, you can. If you want to volunteer for the campaign, you can. Also, we got a link for a church in Baltimore that donated $5,000 for reparations. We got that link in the description box below. As always, you guys, make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channels. Again, if you guys are not following Boyce Mindful Skeptics, make sure y'all follow his channel as well. Matter of fact, I'm going to link his channel in the description box below, so y'all have no excuse.
Yeah.
That's
Have
what's
none. Have none. Anybody have any final words while I'm doing that?
I just want to say thank you for inviting me tonight. This was a great discussion, and hopefully we can have these more in the future, closer to the primary.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, definitely want to hear with New York City. It doesn't even have to be primary people, just people who are active New York volunteers. Y'all deserve all the spotlight, and your stories should be centered. I was really glad to hear your story of just your friends who are NYPD people. You need those really insights. All these out-of-staters and all these. I mean, we love y'all. We are out of state. Boys, you're out of state. All these other Yang Gang out of state. But people like you, Tyler, matter the most when it comes to the
focus.
Yeah.
We gotta focus. That's what
focus. Got to stay on the ground. So definitely more of this is great.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
Yeah,
For sure.
Definitely agreed. Well,
Yang fucking gang. That's all I gotta say.
there you go. There you go. All right.
All right,
Ladies and
everyone.
gentlemen, good night. We will catch y'all later. Peace. Hold on.
Boom. Oh,
Bam.
Tyler gone.